Now we'll be discussing about how erythropoietin regulates erythropoiesis. This is a very important question, guys, all written and also for Viva. From the hematopoietic stem cell, that is the mother cell, formation of pro-erythroblast. Then it finally goes to form RBC, mature RBC. The whole process is catalyzed by erythropoietin. Erythropoietin is a hormone we have mentioned before. Its source, we need to know the source of erythropoietin. Most of the erythropoietin, that is 90% of erythropoietin, comes from kidney, and the rest of the 10% comes from liver. What is the function of this erythropoietin? Erythropoietin stimulates the formation of pro-erythroblasts from hematopoietic stem cells. It speeds up all the 9 steps of erythropoiesis by stimulating this formation, and it also influences the new RBC formation in more numbers than normal. When does it occur? Does it normally occur? Do we always have a lot of RBC in our blood, more than normal? No. When the tissue oxygenation is normal, there is no stimulation of erythropoietin. It only becomes active when the tissue oxygenation is low. That is, we have low oxygen transportation throughout our body. The tissue gets low oxygen. That is when the erythropoietin is stimulated. When do our body get less tissue oxygenation? These are the factors that decreases the oxygenation in our tissue. In case of low blood volume, when the volume of blood is very low, so the oxygen amount is decreased in the tissue. Anemia, we have low hemoglobin, poor blood flow, and other pulmonary diseases. What happens here? These factors, when causes the low amount of oxygen inside the tissue, it stimulates the erythropoietin. This erythropoietin then causes the stimulation of hematopoietic stem cell. It tells the stem cells to create more and more pro-erythroblasts, so that the pro-erythroblasts can create new RBC more and more, so that the large amount of RBC can fill up the lack of oxygen that we have due to these conditions. Okay. Now come to hemoglobin. Hemoglobin, its normal concentration is the number is very important. In male, it is 14 to 18 gram per deciliter. Guys, carefully look at the unit. It is gram per deciliter, not milligram or anything. We have to be very careful because the teachers are very strict about this. In female, it is 12 to 16 gram per deciliter, and at birth, in the child, 23 gram per deciliter. Now we will talk about the synthesis of hemoglobin. What is the site? The site, we know hemoglobin have two forms, heme and globin. Heme means iron and globin means the protein. Heme is synthesized in the mitochondria, is the powerhouse of our cell, and globin or polypeptide is synthesized in ribosome. We all know protein is synthesized in ribosome. This hemoglobin synthesis begins in the pro-erythroblast stage. We have mentioned in the characteristics of those stages. Now see the steps of hemoglobin formation. There are 5 steps of hemoglobin formation. First, the succinyl-CoA. Its source is Krebs metabolic cycle. Through the metabolic cycle, it is the end product of Krebs metabolic cycle, succinyl-CoA or succinic acid. Two molecules of succinyl-CoA adds with 2 molecules of glycine. Then it makes the pyrrole ring. This structure here, it is called the pyrrole ring. Then 4 of these rings, 4 pyrrole rings get together and form protoporphyrin 9. It is a component. Then this protoporphyrin 9 is combined with the iron that is stored in our body, and they together form heme part of the hemoglobin. Then this heme part of the hemoglobin binds with polypeptide. It is synthesized by ribosome, we have mentioned. This polypeptide or globin, then they together form hemoglobin chain, any of the hemoglobin chain, alpha or beta chain. Then we need total 4 chains to form a mature hemoglobin. Hemoglobin A, adult hemoglobin this is called. 2 alpha chain from here and 2 beta chain. They together form hemoglobin A, that is known as adult hemoglobin. Here are some information on hemoglobin. The molecular weight of hemoglobin is 64,458. One hemoglobin contains 4 iron. See. In formation of one chain, one alpha or beta chain, one iron ion is needed. So if we need 4 chains, then we will need 4 iron ions. 1 gram pure hemoglobin carries 1.39 ml oxygen, but in our body we don't have any pure hemoglobin. All of them is impure slightly, so the impure hemoglobin carries 1.34 milliliter of oxygen. We use this information to calculate the oxygen carriage. In 100 ml of our blood, 15 gram hemoglobin is present. So in 100 ml blood, total 20 ml of oxygen is carried. What are the factors necessary for hemoglobin production? Vitamin C, which helps in iron absorption. Proteins, amino acids for globin or polypeptide synthesis in ribosome. Iron and copper for heme synthesis, and some other ions like like calcium, cobalt, nickel, and also bile salt. What is the function of hemoglobin? Main function: transport respiratory gases. This is the most important function. And then second, it acts as a buffer to maintain the pH of blood and also causes formation of some pigments. There are 2 types of hemoglobin: physiological hemoglobin and pathological hemoglobin. Physiological hemoglobin is again divided into 3 types: adult hemoglobin, fetal hemoglobin, and hemoglobin A2. Adult hemoglobin is also known as hemoglobin A. It is consists of alpha 2 and 2 alpha and 2 beta chain. The percentage is 96 to 98%. Fetal hemoglobin is consisted of 2 alpha chain and 2 gamma chains. Fetal hemoglobin is consisted of 2 alpha chain and 2 gamma chain. Percentage is 0.5 to 0.8%. And other one, hemoglobin A2 is consisted of 2 alpha chain and 2 delta chain. Percentage 1.5 to 3.2%. Now there are some pathological hemoglobin which occurs in some diseases, like the hemoglobinopathies, hemoglobin S and hemoglobin E, and alpha or beta thalassemia. What is the difference between adult and fetal hemoglobin? Adult hemoglobin contains 2 alpha chain and 2 beta chain. Fetal hemoglobin contains 2 alpha chain and 2 gamma chain. The adult hemoglobin has less affinity for oxygen than the fetal hemoglobin. The adult hemoglobin is less resistant to alkali than fetal hemoglobin. The percentage we have known, 96 to 98% in adult hemoglobin and 0.5 to 0.8% in fetal. Now the hemoglobinopathies. The hemoglobin S. The substitution of amino acid valine for glutamic acid in the 6th position of beta chain of hemoglobin A. We have 2 beta chains in hemoglobin A, right? The beta chains are formed by the polypeptides. In polypeptides, that is a protein, it is formed by amino acids. In the 6th position of the amino acid, the glutamic acid should be there in normal condition, but it is substituted by valine in this disease. When it is substituted by valine, it takes up a different form and different characteristics. In low oxygen concentration, due to this substitution and mess up, this hemoglobin S is less soluble than normal and becomes gel-like substance. This hemoglobin becomes gel-like when there is low oxygen concentration in our body. This leads to increased blood viscosity. Why? Because when oxygen concentration becomes low, hemoglobin S is gel-like, and then the RBC tends to change their shapes. They become sickle type. They take up sickle shape. Then these sickle shaped cells, they stack together, become slightly sticky and increase the viscosity of the cells. Because of the increased viscosity of the blood, the RBC undergo hemolysis, leading to sickle cell anemia. Now, what is thalassemia? It is a genetic disease caused when both the parents have defect in the relevant gene. This is caused by defect in the synthesis of alpha or beta chain of hemoglobin A. Hence, when there is alpha chain formation defect, it is called alpha thalassemia, and when there is defect in the formation of beta chain, it is called beta thalassemia. Fate of RBC. We all know our fates are predetermined. But have you ever thought the fates of cells and their formation, it will be predetermined also? Yes, the fate of RBC we will be discussing in this chart. First, when the lifespan of RBC is over, that is, after 3 months, the reticular endothelial system consisted of macrophage, spleen or lymph nodes. It causes destruction of RBC. The RBC is destroyed, it is broken down, then RBC releases hemoglobin. Hemoglobin then is broken down into its two parts, heme and globin, by macrophage. Heme and globin, this globin, it is a protein, so it is broken down again into amino acid, and this amino acid goes into blood to be used again. Now from the this part, the heme comes down. The heme is converted to biliverdin and iron. Iron part is stored in our blood. Then the biliverdin is converted to bilirubin. This bilirubin then biliverdin combines with albumin to form bilirubin. Bilirubin is then free in the plasma, it is not bound to anyone. Then the free bilirubin enters hepatocytes, that is liver cells. Inside the hepatocytes, there is glucuronide transferase enzyme which causes the glucuronidation reaction to form bilirubin glucuronide. This is also called conjugated bilirubin. This bilirubin glucuronide is expelled to intestine with bile. Then from the intestine, it goes to two ways. In the first way, it becomes stercobilinogen. It is still in the intestine, becomes stercobilinogen. Then this stercobilinogen is oxidized and converted to stercobilirubin, and it is expelled out in stool. Second pathway is from the intestine, it enters the blood. Via blood, it goes to kidney where it is known as urobilinogen. This urobilinogen goes through oxidation and it converted to urobilin. This urobilin is present in urine and it is excreted out. Now, we will be discussing about the diseases related to RBC. First, there is jaundice. The definition of the jaundice will be, it is a clinical condition characterized by yellow discoloration of sclera, skin and mucous membrane due to an increased amount of bilirubin in the plasma or tissue fluid. The bilirubin that is produced due to breakage of the RBC, when it becomes excessive amount in the plasma or tissue fluid, it causes yellowish discoloration. As it is yellow in color, so our sclera, skin and mucous membrane, nail base become yellow and thus leading to jaundice. What is the normal bilirubin level in our blood? It is 0.3 to 1 milligram per deciliter. There are two types of jaundice, subclinical jaundice and clinical jaundice. Manually, subclinical jaundice is bilirubin will be 1 to 2 milligram per deciliter. Clinical jaundice will be more than 2 milligram per deciliter. This is the classification according to the bilirubin level. Now there will be there is another type of classification. It is classified into three types: hemolytic or pre-hepatic jaundice, hepatocellular jaundice, obstructive or post-hepatic jaundice. How can we determine which type of jaundice we have gotten? We determine the type by Van den Berg test. Now there is a comparison between the three of these jaundices. First, the test will be serum bilirubin. which we know if the bilirubin is increased in serum, then only we can call it a jaundice. But we know there are two types of bilirubins, conjugated and unconjugated. In hemolytic jaundice, there is increased unconjugated bilirubin. In hepatocellular jaundice, there is increased unconjugated and conjugated, both type of bilirubin. In obstructive jaundice, there is increase of the conjugated bilirubin. Then there are some particular enzymes which increase in the specific jaundices. The alkaline phosphatase, it is the highest in case of obstructive jaundice. The aspartate aminotransferase, it is the highest in case of hepatocellular jaundice, and ALT, that is ALT or alanine aminotransferase, it is the highest in case of hepatocellular jaundice. This is the main or basic difference between these three types of jaundices. It is important for written. Anemia, a very common and prevalent disease in our country. It is a clinical condition characterized by pale discoloration of skin and mucous membrane due to quantitative and qualitative deficiency of hemoglobin below normal physiological range in respect to age and sex. Hemoglobin should be less than 10 gram per deciliter so that we can call it anemia, and RBC count should be less than 3 million per microliter of blood. Classification, we classify anemia in two categories. It is more in morphological form and etiological classification. Morphological means according to the shape and size of the RBC. Morphologically, it is of three types: normocytic normochromic anemia, microcytic hypochromic anemia, and macrocytic anemia. I know these are very difficult terms, but these are not that complicated. Normocytic. Normocytic. Normo means normal, cyte means cell. The cell will be normal size. Then normochromic, the color, normal color. The cell will be normal size and normal color, but the amount will be decreased. It is called normocytic normochromic anemia. Microcytic hypochromic anemia. What is this? Micro. Micro means small, cyte means cell, and so the cell size will be decreased. Hypochromic, hypo means low, and chrome, color obviously. Hypochromic means the color will be pale. So the cell size is decreased, color is also decreased. Macrocytic anemia means, macro means larger, the cell size will be larger and will cause anemia. There is another classification, etiological classification, which is divided into 5 types. Hemorrhagic anemia, which occurs due to hemorrhage if we have any accidents or any reason, if we lose a lot of blood, then this anemia occurs. This hemopoietic anemia, where the RBC production is reduced. Hemolytic anemia, if due to any reason the RBC undergo hemolysis, so the cell count is decreased, so it is called hemolytic anemia. Megaloblastic anemia, it is due to deficiency of vitamin B12 and folic acid. Iron deficiency anemia, it is due to mainly parasitic infection. Now another disease, polycythemia. What is it? The increase in the number of RBC beyond normal physiological range in respect of age and sex, it is called polycythemia. The RBC count will be increased more than normal. It is of two types. One is secondary polycythemia and polycythemia vera. What is secondary polycythemia? It occurs in high altitude, more than 14,000 to 17,000 feet, and also in the diseases where the tissue oxygenation is low, like in cardiac failure and other pulmonary diseases. The RBC count will be 7 million per millimeter cube of blood. See, this is very high, more than very high than normal. Polycythemia vera, it is a genetic disease. It occurs due to mutation of RBC precursor cell. It is also known as erythemia. RBC count reaches 7 to 8 million per millimeter cube, and hematocrit or PCV, which we'll talk about next, it is 60 to 70%.